In today's video, we are going to be rating 10 huge hype beast fragrances to find out if they really are worth all of the attention that they've gotten or not. And of course, this is based off of my opinion, which is one person's opinion. Everybody's definition of being worth the hype is going to vary. Everybody's rating scale for each of these would vary as well. But for me, this is kind of how I feel brutally honest about this selection today. Some of these I really like a lot. Others of them I absolutely hate. So make sure you stick around to see how I'm feeling about some of these, because you might be surprised, or maybe you won't. Those of you who are really keen and you've been watching the channel for a long time, you'll probably understand and you'll probably know which ones I don't like that much because I've talked about it before, but maybe you've missed it. And believe it or not, I don't love every fragrance that is released. That's a common trend you see people talk about and say all the time, oh, you like everything. I like a lot of things because at the end of the day, I feel like I do a pretty good job of judging things based off of what their intended use is. So when you're talking about designer fragrances, 9 times out of 10, they're out there to get compliments and to smell good. So I try to take that into consideration when I'm grading something as well. Sometimes though, I still do think they miss the mark, and so I'll dock it a few points, but we'll talk about all that as we go. And so I'll link each one of these down below to discounters. That way you can check them out. Also, I've got a mailing list and texting list you can sign up to coming up very soon, very soon. Some big restocks are going to be coming in and a big sale is coming up. I'm talking like very soon. So if you want to be the first to know about that, jump on the mailing list and texting list down below. And even after this one that's coming up right around the corner, another one's going to be happening as well. So now is the time to save money and to pick up some amazing rare finds and just some great deals overall. Okay, let's get things kicked off with Sauvage Elixir. There is no doubt that this has been a huge hype beast, and in typical Sauvage fashion, it happened quick, almost overnight. This one came out, people started getting it, and then next thing you know, sky's the limit. Sauvage Elixir is all over the place. Everybody's talking about it. This one is maybe a little bit more surprising than some of the other Sauvage flankers in terms of its popularity, because this one is substantially more mature and less Sauvage-like than Sauvage itself. This is the furthest thing possible from Sauvage while still being a Dior Sauvage scent. It's very interesting. Much more mature, much more old school, much more classic and refined compared to all of the other Sauvage fragrances and compared to a lot of other modern designer fragrances on the market these days. Anyway, this is definitely something unique and different. But because it is a Dior, because it is tied to the Sauvage name, this one still had a big boost, and I think it very much is worth the hype. I give it a 9 out of 10. It's got great performance. It is unique. It doesn't smell like Sauvage, which for a lot of people is a big bonus. It has fantastic, stellar quality. I think I mentioned the performance already. I think I've touched on all the things there. The only downside to this is simply going to be the price point. This is not affordable, okay? 2 ounce, $150, $160, 100 mil, 3.3 ounce, a little over 200 on discounters still. We're talking niche pricing essentially, okay? That's the only downside to this. But everything else, it gets an A+. This is a great release, and I'm glad that we have it. Worth the hype if you can afford it. And if you can't, there's Lattafa Assad for 20 bucks. It's a great way to go as well. Okay, next up, from Jean Paul Gaultier, this one is Scandal. Okay, this is the Eau de Toilette, just the original one here. They have a Eau de Parfum Intense Parfum, essentially, so it's like a Le Parfum EDP Intense type of deal, basically. Okay, this one's the EDT because it's gotten a little bit more talk. It's been out longer. This was one of their first men's fragrance releases outside of the Le Male line in a long time. So it was very interesting to see them put something out that wasn't a flanker of Le Male, which they've been doing since the 90s. So this one kind of had a fair amount riding on it, and I give it a 6.5 out of 10. I do not really like it all that much. It doesn't work for me, okay? It's not something that I really enjoy how it smells. I don't like it. It's got caramel, it's got tonka bean. It's sweet, and I don't have a problem with that. I love sweet fragrances. I think it's just the direction that we're going these days, and that is what it is. I don't mind it. So that's not why I dock it, okay? But it just, I don't know. For me, it's a little bit harsh. It almost has this like fig type of smell to it, even though it's not listed off. Like a fig, almost coconut type of smell on the dry down, which is bizarre because I don't think those notes are listed. It could be wrong, but I don't think. I just don't care for it. I still give it a 6.5 out of 10. Going back to the beginning of the video, not to pat myself on the back, but I try to look at things at face value, and this is the type of thing that was produced to smell good to the masses and get compliments, and it accomplishes that very well, okay? You know, if I were to really try to bash on it, I'd be giving it a 2 out of 10 because I dislike it so much, right? But when it comes down to all things considered, taking everything into account here, 6.5 out of 10. It's something that you can wear. You're going to smell good to everybody. You're going to get compliments. You're going to get decent performance out of it. It's just not something that I personally like how it smells. Now, this next one is quite the opposite. It's Mercedes-Benz Club Black. Been out for a good while now. You guys know all about it. It's got vanilla, benzoin, and ambrox in here. 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10 is what I give this one. And another thing I should say is I very rarely do number scales like this, ratings. Every time I do a fragrance review or something, people always ask me to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Rarely do I do that because the number can fluctuate. It might be a 9.5 right now. It might be a 9 next year. Who knows, right? It's just such an arbitrary way of going about it when we're talking about scent. So I don't do it often, but it does make for a good video, and it's very much going to be usually within a half a point or a point consistently, but it does vary. I just know there's going to be people holding me to it and said, oh, last time you gave it a 9, now it's a 9.5. You get the deal. Anything 8 and above is fantastic considering the size of my collection. And so Club Black is one that I just love. It's very, very vanilla forward, and I'm a big fan of vanilla and scents. Very syrupy and sweet, not for everybody. It does have a nice bright sparkle off the top from the ambrox in here. Just a little bit of a nice boost, you know, before you get straight into the vanilla. Just really nice way to open up. If you're into vanilla forward scents, you're going to like it. But beware, this is not your typical masculine smelling men's scent like Sauvage Elixir, for example. So something to keep in mind. But if you're after something truly unique on the designer end for about $50, this is it right here. Next up, we have Valentino Uomo Born in Roma. This is the original. They have, you know, a few flankers and all of that. For me, it's a good 7 out of 10. It's one that I enjoy primarily because of my bias for Invictus Aqua-ish smelling scents, essentially, because that's kind of what this one has going for it here. Has a little bit of that Invictus Aqua, fresh, sweet combination. It's kind of how I describe it. And I like that type of thing. I like Invictus Aqua. I like Rosacea Howis. I like, you know, Davidoff, Cool Water Wave. All of those that smell kind of similar. I like them. Also, it's the type of thing, again, that just works really well. Smells good to people around you. It's wearable. It's very versatile. I guess that's kind of the same thing. Something you can wear for every situation when it's warm outside or cold if you wanted to. Generally, across the board, things of this style have good performance as well. This one has decent performance, not as strong as some of the others, but it does a good job. I like how it smells. You know, it's not going to be exciting for everybody. It's not even overly exciting for me. It's just one of those things where it is a dumb reach. If it's warm outside and I have no idea what I want to wear, I can just pick this up and spray it on, and then I'm set. It doesn't really matter. It takes no effort, no thought process. And so because of that, this is something that, again, can be easy to hate on, be easy to forget about especially, but all in all, a 7 out of 10 I think is a very fair rating for this one. Okay, next up we have Dolce Gabbana K. This is going to be either the Eau de Toilette or the Eau de Parfum. Okay, I'm going to lump them both together, and I'm going to give both of them a 6 out of 10. not a huge fan of the DNA. I really don't. I don't know why. I just have never really liked it. I still remember the first time I smelled the EDT. It came out, and so I paid full retail for it, ordered it online, got it in, was trying it, and I just didn't like it immediately, and it never grew on me. The EDP came out, figured, hey, I'll give it a try, you know, bought it at retail, still don't like it. They're probably going to release more. I'll still probably buy them, but I'm still probably not going to like them unless they drastically change it up. Something kind of similar, but is substantially better and about half the cost is Rocus L'Homme, and I love that stuff. It's under 30 bucks and it is amazing. It has just as good of quality as the Dolce Gabbana. It has better performance and is all around a better scent in every way. That one I'll take. The Dolce Gabbana K series, I'm not a big fan of. Again, 6 out of 10 because this is the type of thing that works and does its intended purpose very well. To smell good to the general public, to be wearable, to get compliments. It does that. But from just a standalone, me kind of talking about how I like the scent, I just don't like it. Next up, we have our MAF Club de Nuit Untold. Now this one, I give an 8 out of 10. Okay, and the reason why, maybe that seems low, is simply because it's a clone, but it's also a clone that has been cloned before, or maybe a way to reword that. This DNA has been cloned before. This is just one of the first major clone brands to do it. I don't know, maybe that's not even the right way to word it either. MAF is a huge presence in terms of clones. This is their first Baccarat Rouge 540 clone. However, BR 540 has been cloned before quite a few times, kind of like the whole Aventus clone saga. So how many Aventus clones can you really give a 9 out of 10? You know, it's just one of those deals. Still, 8 out of 10 is very fair in my opinion for this one, and it is one of the top BR 540 clones out there, but there's just a lot of good ones as well. So just kind of one of those things where pick your favorite, pick whichever one is most affordable, pick whichever one you like the look of the bottle best, because for the most part you're going to be in the clear in terms of getting an accurate clone, because for the most part they all are pretty good. There's some crappy ones out there, I'm sure, but when we're talking about this and something like Amber Oud Ruby by Al Haramain, you know, they're good stuff. And I love the DNA as well, BR 540. It's not for everybody. It's very woody and transparent and just different. It's a bizarre wearing experience. You know, it's something that takes some getting used to. I remember wearing BR 540, the real one, you know, the EDP, for the first few times going out and about, and it's just a different experience. You feel like it's not projecting, but it's projecting like crazy, and you know, there's a chance you could be really kind of pushing out a bit too far with it. It's interesting. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for this one. It's a great clone. It's under 50 bucks most times. One that's starting to stabilize now. You can get it pretty easily. It's good stuff, worth the hype. Next up we have H24 Eau de Parfum by Hermes. I don't like the EDT, so much so that I gave it away to one of you guys, and I don't even have it anymore. So had to put in the EDP instead, which, to be fair, still gets good amount of hype as well, because the EDT got a good amount of hype. For better or for worse, I think a lot of the hype was people saying it was good, and that's fine. I was someone who just didn't like it all that much. So this EDP came out, and I will say right now the EDP is better than the EDT, but I still don't particularly care for this either, but I will give it a 7 out of 10. The EDT would probably be a 5 or 6 out of 10. Mass appeal is still great. It's just, you know, still not amazing to me. The EDP is just going to be a little bit better than the EDT. Still not something that I am a big fan of, though. It's very metallic, which is fine, but I don't know. I just don't find this to be something that I would ever wear. Like, until doing this video, I hadn't even thought about H24 in months. So yeah, you know, that's kind of what it is. It's an improvement over the original, and maybe they'll continue to do that. Maybe they'll release a parfum or something and really change it up, and I'll love that. But this one, 7 out of 10. Next up, we have Armani Stronger With You Absolutely, and I give this one an easy 9 out of 10, not even thinking about it. you might think, oh, it's not a 10 out of 10 for you. It's very hard for me to give out that rating. That's reserved for a very, very select few scents that, is something that could also change at any given point. But, it's hard to give out 10 out of 10s. It is. But 9 out of 10 is still very, very competitive. Could even be 9.5. Again, you're splitting hairs. It's kind of arbitrary, but that's kind of how it goes. 9, 9.5, whatever. I love Stronger With You, absolutely. Absolutely love it. Okay, and it's boozy compared to the original, and Stronger has a true parfum concentration. It's richer, heavier, has better sillage. It really hangs in the air, has great longevity. This is the one to get, and most of you understand it's often out of stock. I do send out a notification each time it pops up, but if you're patient, if you just wait, the time will come and you'll be able to grab a bottle for yourself with relative ease, and once you get a bottle, you'll be set for a good while, most of you, because you probably have a big collection like a lot of us do, and so it'll last you a while. Just stay on the lookout and you'll get some. But it is one of those scents where it is worth being on the lookout for. If you don't have it yet and you're wanting it, it's worth the hunt. It's worth waiting for the right time to get it for a decent price, and I'll help you out with that. But definitely one that I love. Easy 9, 9.5. We're going to end the video with 2 5 out of 10s, spoiling it right there. These last two I just don't like a lot. First up, we have Mont Blanc Explorer, and this is Ultra Blue. I really like the original. I think it's great. It's an affordable Aventus clone from a designer brand and not a clone brand, because some people might care about that. But Ultra Blue is not exciting, not really interesting in any way. It's something that is fresh and clean, don't get me wrong, right? It smells fine, but there are so many fragrances out there that smell way better than fine for the same price or cheaper. So it's one of those deals where, yes, it does its intended purpose really well, but there are also other things out there that accomplish the same type of thing, and this just doesn't really prompt any reason to buy it. The only way I could see you picking this up is if you could get it for like $20. If you could get this for 15, 20 bucks, that's about dirt cheap, then pick it up and you can use it as a room freshener for all that matters. But paying, retail is a big no-no, and paying normal discounted price for this, I just don't see it happening. And the other last 5 out of 10 rating is Davidoff Cool Water Intense, which is an EDP, which is not their first flanker by any means, right? They've had many in between the EDT and EDP. It's one of those deals where they were just, didn't put out a standalone EDT or Intense or EDP or Intense for years after the release, kind of like YSL Loam and then Loam EDP. But between Loam EDT and Loam EDP, there were a bunch of flankers before that. Similar deal here. That being said, I don't like it. Each time I smell it, I dislike it more. It's got a lot of coconut. It is the furthest from Cool Water EDT, which isn't inherently bad, but it goes in a direction that I'm not a fan of at all. And this one, even, I would say, doesn't quite have the same mass appeal thing going on. Like even, Explorer Ultra Blue and all these others, right? They're doing the whole game really well, smelling good to people around them. This doesn't have as much mass appeal and versatility as Cool Water EDT, which is a bestseller. So, for me, I can't really use that as a point to prop up the score. This could even be less than 5 out of 10. I don't like it. And another thing I will address before I get comments on it, and I think I did this last time I talked about it, the level is here. The level is here because I decanted this out because I had zero desire to feel like I needed to stash it. So decanted it out. That's why it's there. I've worn this not often at all. I've smelled it more than I've worn it just by going like this. And each time it just gets worse. I don't like it. But there's Cool Water Parfum and Grapefruit and Sage and quite a few other flankers that are really good. For me, this isn't it. That's going to do it for me, guys. These are some popular scents that have been hyped up, and that's my scores. That's my rating on them, and if I think they're worth it or not. If I didn't clarify on all of them, I think you could probably tell by my reaction and my rating on whether I think it's worth the hype or not. And so I'm sure that was pretty clear. I'll link them down below. I will also, just see you tomorrow with another video. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care.